We all know that one person who proudly puts GDPR in the profile of every single one of their social media pages, as though it somehow counteracts the 20 pages of terms and agreements that they clicked, agreed to, but didn't read. I have a little spoiler alert for you. It's not the case. That's not how GDPR works. But don't worry, I am here today to tell you how it does. So first things first, what is GDPR? The General Data Protections Regulations is a law that was passed by the European Union in 2018. Its main goal? To give individuals more control over their personal data and make companies more transparent and accountable in how they collect, store, and use your data. So what exactly counts as personal data? Well, your name, your email address, your IP address, your location data, even sometimes CCTV footage. Anything that can identify you, be it directly or indirectly, as held by a company is considered your personal data. Don't forget that also includes things like your browsing data, your scrolling data, what you've watched, what you've engaged with, kind of most things about you digitally. Now, what rights do you actually have under GDPR? There's 8 key rights, the first of which we'll say is access. That means that you can access the personal data that is held by these companies through what is known as a DSAR, or a Data Subject Access Request. And we'll go through a full one of those later on in the video. The next thing then is rectification. So if a company has data on you and you feel like it is not correct, you have the right under GDPR legislation to have them correct that data. You also then have the right to erasure, which means in most circumstances you can ask the company or the organization that holds your personal data, and you can ask them to erase it and completely delete it. There are some instances where for legal bases or for tax purposes, they will have to retain your information, but once the legally obligated time is allotted, they should come back and delete it for you. Restriction is a fairly obvious one. It means that they can't share your personal data without your consent. So they can't share it with a third-party company or just publicize it somewhere. This, however, does not apply to being filmed while out in public. In public, there is no expectation of privacy. However, under GDPR, you should be able to request a platform takes a video or an image of you down. And I believe you have the right to have search engines like Google, etc., remove them for you. You have the key right for your data to be portable, meaning that when you request your data, it is provided to you in a reasonable manner that is commonly accepted. So an example would be writing your data as a PDF or a Word document, opposed to a file that only works with a certain software that you don't have. You have the right to objection, which means in certain circumstances that you can object for your personal data to be used for things such as marketing or email newsletters. You also then have the right not to be subject to a decision based solely on an automated process, including profiling. So in order to submit a DSAR, what are you going to need? First thing you're going to need is the email or the address for the data protection officer. The best way to get this is to probably call the company. If you're maybe putting a DSAR in work, you should just talk to your HR department. The next thing you're going to need then is your details. Now in general, your name, date of birth and your address. They might ask for your phone number, your email address, just to confirm who you are. If you are requesting something like CCTV footage, it is best to have as much details such as the time you might appear on the footage, which direction you might have been coming from, what kind of clothing you might have been wearing, and anything else that might identify you on that screen. Now, depending on what kind of company it is, and depending on what kind of information you're requesting, you might need ID or some kind of proof, such as a power of attorney, to show that you are an authorized person to be requesting this personal data. I'll leave a template in the description below, but essentially open it up like you would any other email. Let them know who you are or who the data subject is, what relationship they might have to the company or the organization, and then ask them to please provide any and all information that they may have on file about the data subject, be it yourself or somebody else. At the end, I usually like to just request, so there's no uncertainties, what way I would like my data received. And in this instance, we're asking for it in a PDF via an email. Sign off your email and send it. So what happens next? The company has 30 days to respond. Regardless of what their decision is going to be, they must inform you within 30 days. They can extend their time by an additional 60 days, but only if it's an excessive or a large request where there might be like multiple people's information that you are looking for. And if you're still not happy then at the end of it, you can talk to the Data Protection Commissioner. Now, there's very limited reasons why a company could reject a DSAR. If it's manifestly unfounded or excessive, which basically means you're asking for data that they don't actually have, or you're going in and looking for an excessive amount of data that isn't readily available. They could also reject you if it affects somebody else's right, such as exposing somebody else's personal data. So that would really be the basics of GDPR and how you can submit a data subject access request. This kind of legislation can be used for you to access as well as delete personal data and information that could be held on you by companies, organizations, social media platforms, and so much more. GDPR is a useful tool, but there is so much mis and disinformation about what it can do. I think this is where I'm supposed to tell you is to smash the like and subscribe buttons and all that, and I feel awkward doing it, but yeah, please do, and I appreciate it. Thanks.